Let me introduce quickly who is our speaker for today. Her name is, she doesn't want me to call her with her long name, so I would just call her Mercy. She's a development specialist. And she has a lot of interest in agriculture extension, human resource, and so on, gender and agriculture, program planning and evaluation. She has more than 16 years of experience with so many organizations in West Africa, especially with the SAFE, Sasakao Africa Fund for Extension Education. She has been also working as a social economist for the European Union, Mali, Burkina Faso, in the ECOWAS region. She's a lecturer and she was also head of department at the University of Abeokuta, Nigeria. She works with public and private sectors. She has done some work in Ethiopia, Uganda, and Mali also, so in East Africa as well as West Africa. She is a board member of AFAAS actually, and WIWI. I don't know what is WIWI. Maybe she will explain later. She has written various publications and holds a bachelor in vocational agriculture education, a diploma in agriculture economics, a master's and doctorate degree in agriculture extension, and an MBA from Antwerp School of Management. Now she also has a certificate in French. So she speaks and writes fluently English and French. Yeah, so that's the short bio of Akeredolu Mercy, Dr. Akeredolu Mercy. So, did I describe your story properly, Mercy?
Oh my God. I didn't know all that you added. Okay. Thank you, Andre. My name is Mercy, and I just want us to leave out the family name because it's a long one. And I'd like to welcome you all to this session. But before we go into our presentation and discussion, I'd just like to tell you all that I will be facilitating with Andre. Andre has been so helpful for quite some months now. He's been coordinating, inviting us, making sure that it works well in all the sessions that we've had. So thank you so much, Andre. And we also want to thank AFAAS, the African Forum for Rural Advisory Services, responsible for the organization of these sessions, webinar sessions. And we also want to thank CAFASI. I don't know whether CAFASI is an NGO or what, Andre? We have been involved in financing the webinar sessions. So thank you so much. By way of introduction, thank you for coming on board. And we always like to know who our audience, who are the audience and who are the participants, so that we know the nature of who and who we are discussing with. Today, change is a common theme. Left and right, front and back, we hear of change. And what is changing? Usually they tell us the environment is changing. And what is the environment of agriculture or agricultural extension that is changing? Change in the agricultural system, change in the input system, marketing system, change in the level of education of agricultural extension workers, change in the level of education of farmers, change in the challenge of establishing a well-managed, effective, and accountable system to meet the needs of our diverse clients that are engaged in a complex and ever-changing farming systems. So it's important that we all discuss together the issue of management in an extension organization, management as an extensionist. So the module we are going to be discussing, this is the third module of the NELK, is going to introduce us as extensionists to key terms and concepts in extension program management so that we can build the knowledge and the skills that are necessary or required for us to be able to manage extension programs, for us to be able to manage extension projects, and for us to be able to manage extension organizations effectively. So I want to welcome you once again as we go into the presentation. Second and third slide, Andrew. Are you hearing me? Hi. Oh my God.
Hi, I can hear you. I don't know whether Andre can hear you.
Yeah. I want him to put on the second and the third slide. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So management, extension management, it's all about giving direction. It's all about making some plans. It's all about implementing these policies and the plans. It's all about hiring our staff. It's all about coordinating our plans. It's all about monitoring. It's all about evaluation. We've had a lot of problems recently with monitoring and evaluation of our, agricultural extension program, projects, organization. But then I think it has to do with management, managing effectively, managing for accountability. So this is all about agricultural extension management, is to give us the direction that we need, make the decisions as managers, formulate our policies and plans, implement these policies, coordinate all the plans and implement them effectively, also monitor and evaluate the plans. Next slide. Next slide, Andrew. Oh my God. Next slide.
Do you have the management principles on your screen?
Yes.
Or the...
Not yet.
Okay. Management principle. It should be on your screen now.
Okay. As a manager, there are some principles. Our position as managers, we have authority attached to that position. And we want to act in the best of the interest of the organization. We want to treat our employees fairly and motivate them as a team to work towards achieving the goal of the organization. In other words, we want to create an atmosphere of team spirit so that we can all work together, whether at the top level, middle level, or at lower level of management. we need to work together towards achieving the goal of the objectives and the goal of the organization. Next slide.
Takes long.
Next slide.
I've already changed, so.
Delegates as one of the skills that we need. We must have the ability to plan and plan well. We must have the ability to communicate and communicate well. And we must have the ability to motivate our clients, motivate our staff, motivate all our stakeholders. These are all the skills that we need as managers. Next slide. So when you look at an organization, we have various departments. We have the production department. There must be management at that level. We need to manage the production. We need to manage marketing. There is marketing management. We need to manage the financial resources. And we also need to manage the human resources. In some organizations, we have some other departments, but these are key departments, even in a very small organization or a very small project, or even in planning. It's all about organizing. It's all about staffing, giving direction, coordinating and controlling, reporting and budgeting. And in reporting, we have monitoring, we have evaluation in there. Next slide. So you manage the quiz. Andre, can you manage the quiz? Hi.
Yes, the quiz should be on your screen now. What is the most important function of management? So there is planning and organizing, staffing, directing and coordinating. There's reporting and budgeting. And there is A, B, and C. Unfortunately, we have only one voter, eh?
Looks, I'm the only voter.
Yeah, you're the only voter. I think Christine is also busy. She's following, and at the same time, she's doing something else.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just show the result now. Is this right, Mercy?
Yeah, I think it's right.
Okay.
It's very, very right. Thank you very much. So we can go on. Next slide, please.
It takes some time to refresh from your side, I think, but it's about study module 2, approaches to management strategies.
Of extension organization, approaches to management, strategies of extension organization. Yes, this is study unit 2. Next slide. Yeah. Am I right? You are muted already. I don't know why. But I heard you saying that you come from Kenya. I am from Nigeria. Andrew, you're
Okay.
from where?
Andy from Madagascar.
Okay, you are from Madagascar. And I know Christine is also from Kenya. And I have worked in some countries in Africa. I have experience of West Africa. And I also have experience of Eastern and Southern Africa. We know that extension system is changing rapidly. Before, when we say extension, especially at the smallholder level, that is, we think of publicly funded extension system. It has to be funded by the government. But today, the environment is changing, system is changing, and now the private sector is coming in, and then we have among the private sector, we have NGOs, we have voluntary organizations. It's changing. It's no more like before. And I'm sure you can look back into your own country, your various countries, and look at these changes. You can confirm these changes, especially from the perception of the smallholder farmers. So for privately funded extension systems, you have the private sector, you have voluntary organizations, NGOs, and then some of them are even operating the cost sharing approaches. I know in Benin, the private sector, Republic of Benin, the private sector is very, very important there. In Ethiopia, where I am, the public sector is still the dominant extension system. And now, for most of our countries in Africa, we talk about pluralism in extension. It's a pluralistic approach. When you see private extension system, public extension system, and even the farmer-to-farmer extension is also a common thing now. But then, when you look at the pluralistic system, we want to talk about commitments to our goals and objectives, which is still a major barrier. But the advantage of the pluralistic approach is that we have more resources. We have more resources in the system, financial and human resources. So the question now is, which among the following system is still predominant in the extension system of your country? Private extension system, public extension system, or the pluralistic extension system? Pauline, you are still the only one. You want to react to this? And we go ahead.
The else has come, but yes, for us, it's the pluralistic extension system.
Okay, so you just tick that.
Yes, I have.
Andy, in Madagascar, what is it like?
Yeah, actually, it's the pluralistic also in Madagascar.
Okay.
Jerry, I guess, is there also from Uganda now. Maybe he can also
Jerry,
vote.
You are welcome. What is it like in Uganda?
Well, in Uganda, it's mainly the public extension system that is predominant.
Yes. Is it just public or private or pluralistic?
It is pluralistic, but mainly serviced by the public extension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think yeah.
Yeah, the most the countries where you have more public sector intervention are Ethiopia and South Africa. Otherwise, in most countries in Africa, it's pluralistic or even private dominant one.
Yeah.
From my experience in Uganda, because I've done some studies there also, it seems it's quite balanced. Even the private sector is very dynamic there, but it's funded, of course, by projects supported by the government and international organizations.
Yeah. 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 Thank you very much, Andrew, for that contribution. Can we go ahead?
Okay, so study unit 3 is about leadership, motivation, and group dynamics.
Yeah.
So now you
Leadership,
should have, yeah?
motivation, and group dynamics. People often ask, what is the difference between a manager and a leader? Are they not the same? A manager and a leader, are they the same? I'm just asking. Pauline, what do you feel?
Sorry.
Is there any difference between a manager and a leader?
Yes, there is a difference.
Yeah.
But
And what is the
I don't know how
difference?
to explain.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to explain it.
Yeah.
But I know there's a difference.
for the sake of time,
Yeah.
When they ask me that question, I always explain it this way. Management is doing things right. As a manager, you want to ensure that things are done, correct. Management is doing things right. But leadership is doing the right thing. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right thing. While we are thinking over that, I want us to go on. What is leadership? It is the action of leading a group or a people. The action of giving an organization, direction by everybody. That is, you consider yourself doing. A leaders, they do it either from the personality traits that they have, the way they behave, or the situation that they are. So as how a leader, you can use your power and you can use your influence within a particular group. So don't forget that I said management is doing things right. As managers, we want to make sure things are done right, correct? But the doing itself, doing the right thing itself is leadership. So we have various types of leadership. You have an autocratic leader when decisions should be made quickly, assuming there is an outbreak, disease outbreak, and farmers, you just have to mobilize them to do something, use a particular chemical to eradicate the diseases. You just have to make quick decisions. And then you have democratic leaders, those that believe in teamwork, that the contribution from each member of the team is very important for us to arrive at a good decision. And then you have these non-interventionist leaders. They believe that their team members are competent to do the work and they will get good results. And then the question we ask ourselves is, which leadership style is the best? Is it the autocratic guy that believes in making the decision from the top right there? The democratic guy that believes all of us should contribute into decision making? Or the non-interventionist that sort of put his trust in us as team members, that we have the capability, we have what it takes to do the right thing? Or that the style you adopt as a leader should be adapted to suit the task, the particular task in question, and the type of people you are managing. So we expect you to please react to this immediately, tick the correct one, and let's go on. Pauline and Jerry, we are waiting for.
Yes, I have ticked.
Number 4.
Number 2.
One person is convinced that the best way is the democratic one, and the 3 others are saying the style must be adapted to suit the task and type of people they manage.
Okay. So Jerry, if I may just ask you before we go on, why do you think the democratic guy is the best?
I think the democratic guy is the best because usually there's this saying that if you want to go far, you have to carry everybody along. So if you want something to be sustainable, a decision or an intervention to be sustainable, it's important that you consider everybody's opinion and let people have an input into the decision so that it is sustained. Of course, I had not seen number 4, but I think, yes, number 4 is the most appropriate for the style has to be adopted to suit the task and the type of people that are being managed. Yeah, but
Yeah,
besides
thank you very much.
number 2 is the most important.
Thank you very much. So we can go on. So motivation, this is the second aspect in this unit. It's all about the will or desire to achieve a goal. In an organization, as managers, we want them to work together. All our employees should work together. There should be teams. Because it improves employees' job satisfaction, and it will also encourage them to complete tasks on time, as well as improve the quality of their work. There is this struggle over the years now as to what type of motivation should we accord our employees. Maslow said employees or individuals, there are different levels, when it comes to needs. There are some that are the psychological level of needs. Some are safety levels. Some that the need is actually seeking the sense of belonging. And then some are the esteem end. And then some finally at self-actualization level. There are so many theories of motivation. For lack of time, we cannot discuss all these theories. But then, that what we are, the motivation strategy that we are implementing with our group, within our organization, within the various categories of employees in an organization. There are various people in the organization. Within our client system, we have various categories of people. We have farmers, male, female farmers, and now we are talking of youth. Also, we have, the vulnerable groups. So there are various categories, that can enrich group dynamics. There are diversities that can help enrich whatever we are doing, whatever program or project. So this diversity will help us to be creative in the ideas that will help us to achieve our goals. Though it can also create conflicts when some members within the group are trying to, dominate others in terms of ideas. So it's important that we harvest all the, we make sure, first of all, that the talents within the group that we work with, whether in an organization or whether we are in the field working with farmers. We want to harvest all the skills, all the knowledge, and make good use of them. Then roles in the group. We have various group categories. There is need for effective communication for harmony. Otherwise, if the messages are misinterpreted, we have various understanding, and this will not be too good for us in achieving our goal. We can also categorize our groups depending on the overall size of the population. Within the group, we can have the private sector. We can have, the people from the public sector. We can have farmers. We can have farmer associations. There are so many categories that we can just list out. We can have men, women, we can have youth, we can have people with, special needs. We want to make sure that everybody, every subgroup within the larger group is contributing and they are benefiting from the project or the program. Yeah, next slide. So now we go to extension program and program planning. This is very, very important. This is the study unit 4. So why do we use extension programs? Why? Because I gave 3 reasons here. We have to design for specific target clientele base. You need a program because you have a client base that you are designing a particular project or program for. So you just need to do good planning. Then continuous education and development. Also generating lasting change for our client base because we want to make impact. And for us to be able to make impact, we need to use extension programs that are client-focused, client-based, and we can measure the impact after. Extension program types. We have the government extension service providers. We have private consultants. And then we also have different types of program, whether proactive or reactive. Proactive because we want to feed forward. After a certain evaluation, we see some of the issues. And for us to, actually be able to handle, to stay marketable, we want to feed forward by being proactive. And then reactive, there are major issues and we just react to those issues. So what are some of the principles of planning? One, we must make our decisions. Everybody, every organization today is talking about being evidence-based. We need facts and figures that are correct. So you want to make your decisions based on these facts. You want to seek stakeholders who understand issues and, collect facts from them. You want to set specific targets to plan for all aspects of the program, all aspects of the project. You also want to identify root causes of problems so that we don't waste our resources, so that we target what the right solution should be rather than just wasting resources on wrong solutions or wrong things that are not solutions. We also aim for sustainable and lasting change. When we're talking of change, it has to be a sustainable one. It has to be a lasting one. Still on the last slide, please. So we want to talk about program planning cycle. The first stage of this cycle is situation analysis. You want to analyze the situation, what the system is like. What are those? We can go on. Yes, you want to analyze the situation. You want to now, based on the result of the situation analysis, you want to come up with the program objectives and also go ahead and do implementation. Program objective. We evaluate again, reconsider based on the results of the evaluation, and then we look at the situation again. Again, implement the plans, the cycle continues. Next slide, please.
Okay, the next one is a quiz again.
Okay. So we want to ask ourselves why extension program planning is important. And we said it is important because it gives the program a better chance of making the most impact within the resources that are available. Or rather, you don't have, there is no opinion. Pauline and Jerry, there is Tadesse, who also came on board. Andrew, did you see Tadesse?
Yes, Tadesse Amberbir from AEAR in Ethiopia. Yeah. How are you,
Hello.
Tadesse?
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Hello.
how are you, Tadesse?
I'm good. Hi, Andrea. How are you?
Yeah. So our trainer today is Mercy, Dr. Mercy.
Okay. Okay. I just joined you. Actually, I'll be leaving because now it's we end the work at almost 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
Thank
just
you,
joined.
Tadesse.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. I just joined you. It's interesting. So I will attend until maybe 30 minutes, and after that I will leave because I'm going to home early today. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
We are on extension program planning.
Okay.
And we are saying that extension program planning is important because it gives the program a better chance of making the most impact within the resources available. Do you agree with this statement?
Yes.
Or you disagree? Or you don't
Yeah.
have, opinion on this?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with the statement.
So just tick the correct answer.
Okay. Okay. So where is that? But now I cannot see the survey. Is it on the survey? Where is it?
Yes, it is.
But I cannot see it actually.
Are you using a phone or
No, I'm
a
using my
laptop?
laptop. Yes, I'm using my laptop, but I cannot see the. Okay,
Oh.
I see here. Yeah, and now I got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I did that. Okay.
Okay, so now we have the result.
Thank you very much. We go on.
So study unit 5 is about managing organizational change and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
And I move immediately to the next slide, organizational change.
Yeah, change is a very common thing now. Organizations are changing. We hear of merging, we hear of scaling out, scaling up. We hear of so many things. And it's really affecting our, organizations because the whole environment is changing. So there is need for us to adapt as managers to changing circumstances so that our organization can still survive. Otherwise, we'll be out of market. So there is need for organizational survival. If you do not adapt, it will be very difficult for us to survive and continue winning because we want to be not only a good a good organization, but a winning organization. So the question is, how do we manage organizational change as managers? We see so many of our colleagues, our employees within the system, within the organization, resisting to change. There are lots of conflicts because maybe the organization is downsizing, the organization is, laying people off. You have to move from one unit to the other. There is merging and people are resisting. So managers make decisions to drive change. There is need for us to make decisions as managers to be able to drive the change process. And then we need to coordinate with relevant stakeholders because don't forget, we've been working with stakeholders, very important stakeholders over the years. And now that there is change, we need to coordinate this of change. So there is need because change is just a common thing now. There is need for us as managers to manage the transition process. For the involvement of farmers, and how do we involve our farmers? By using various tools in program planning. Next slide, please. Next slide.
So is it why we involve farmers or how do we involve farmers?
Why and how?
Okay, so why?
Why? Because if we put our farmers first, before we used to look at top down, but these days we talk of bottom-up approach. So if it's bottom-up approach, if it is democratic approach, then we want to think of our farmers first because they are our first clients. So because we need to involve them so that we can get better situation analysis done. Involving them, we motivate them to implement the program or even the project when the time comes. Involving them right from the onset will help us to have a lasting impact, a lasting change that is sustainable. And then we can talk about success at the end of the day. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. This is why we need to involve farmers. And when we are involving farmers, we are talking about different categories of farmers. We're talking of men, women, we're talking of youth, we're talking of people with special needs, various categories. And then we also want to take the value chain agriculture into consideration. You don't just, involve farmers that are into production. You also want to look at those categories in value addition, in processing. You also want to look at other actors along the value chain, commodity value chain, and we need to carry all of them along. So how do we involve our farmers? We've been doing this through field days, through meetings, through workshops, through visits to them. We also do some advertisements, even using the local media. That is, I'm talking of those things that they use in the villages. That's those like the village announce, that will go around to invite everybody to the meeting. We have the village radio, then we have the local newspapers, and then we also have the social media. And then we can also go through the farmer associations and the farmer groups to involve our farmers. When we are planning our program, one of the tools is need assessments, because our program these days should be need-based. If you are solving problems of farmers in Kenya, for instance, in a particular locality within that country, you have to do the need assessment of stakeholders within that locality so that you know that you are solving the real problem. You are planning the real program. And then we need resource mobilization. These days, we talk of money, funding, we need to mobilize. We talk of other resources, the human resources, we need to mobilize all resources necessary for the program. And then we go into action plan. We need to have our action, we need to have our plan of action, our action plan, so that we can actually have a good program at the end of the day. So we're talking of time management. It's becoming important. In my country, where I come from, they said time is money. You don't waste time. You don't joke with time. As managers, we just need to manage time. Next slide. So time management involves allocating a very realistic amount of time to tasks so that time is not wasted. In some organizations, you are supposed to work for 8 hours per day. You don't waste the whole 8 hours on tasks, that are not important. You want to make sure that employees are doing what they should do at a particular time, and time is not wasted. So you need to define and set our goals, short-term goal, medium-term goal, and long-term goals, so that we don't waste time unnecessarily. There is also the need to track our progress. How far are we going, or how far have we gone? Are we achieving it? Are we achieving these objectives? Are we moving towards the goal of the project, of the program, of the organization? We should avoid time wasters. There are so many time wasters. We're still going to discuss that. So many issues that can waste our time within an organization, within a project, within a program. So there is need for us to delegate. There are people working with you. Why don't you mobilize? Make sure that you work together so that you are not the only one doing it and you don't waste time unnecessarily. There is need for us to plan, and we plan with time. There is need for us to organize, and there is need for us to prioritize, to analyze our energy allocation so that we don't waste time. And regularly, we need to review our progress. How far? Have we done this? Have we done that? What are we leaving behind? How do we take it up? So what are time wasters? Time wasters are those things that steal your time from your work. For instance, procrastination. It's just going to waste your time. What you can do now, you leave it for another time. Constant interruptions, telephone calls, 10 times. Within this meeting, if we are having telephone calls, you can imagine the amount of time we'll be wasting. Then various meetings, you must attend all meetings. You just have to prioritize. You see, they are talking to you, under the desk, they are chatting. So we need to probably control all this and make sure that we have the best out of our employees. Then bad planning. If you don't plan well, you'll be wasting time. Bad planning, we need to plan and plan well. If you are to travel, to make sure, if we are to travel, for instance, we need to make sure that we organize our travels very well. If we are going to the field, we need to make sure that we organize it very well so that we don't waste our time going and coming, without really achieving anything. So this is all about time management. Good time management is very important for managers. Next slide, please.
Next unit is about human resource management.
Yes.
So I
human
just
resource
went.
management. It's a very important function of managers. There are so many theories, but we are not going and salaries are set correctly. And we want to monitor our staff performance. We want to implement people-oriented management style. So these are some of the reasons why we need to manage the staff. We want to manage the human resource for an organization as managers. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Yes, there's a time lag between the slides.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to anticipate sometimes, huh?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
So human resource management functions entails some job analysis, in-house conflict resolution, implementing employment law, and ensuring employee rights, and then also good labor relations. So these are all important. I know we can always think of other functions, but these are the ones that, you know, I feel they are key, because in job analysis, there is a lot that will come up, you know, come under that. You want to discuss salaries, you want to discuss a lot, but these are the key ones. So you also want to ensure that employees adapt to globalization. It is, we talk about globalization now. As a manager, it is our duty to ensure that we adapt, all the employees adapt to, you know, all the globalization efforts going on, especially information system that is changing rapidly, communication system that is changing rapidly. It is important. So I think we can just reflect back within our organization. Seen currently in our organization, and how have we adapted? Pauline, you want to talk about this? What is happening in your organization as far as globalization is concerned, and how have you adapted?
Okay, maybe what I can say for us, maybe in terms of globalization, we have tried to use social media as a way of keeping in touch with the officers, especially in the field, so that they can also be able to get what information, what is going on in other places.
Yeah. And Tadesse, you want to say something on that? Hello, Tadesse?
Hello, yes, I'm here. Actually, I don't have anything to say. So I'm following it.
Okay, I was talking about globalization and how we are adapting in our various organizations. Do you have any feeling towards this in your organization in Ethiopia?
Yeah. Actually, I completely agree with the issues you raised. Like you mentioned the challenges in the organization change. There are so many challenges, especially for IT. For IT staffs, you know, it's really very hard. I mean, to implement a system and force the researchers or other users to use to make a change. You know, so actually we have seen so many challenges from the even from the senior researchers, because you know our culture also, you know, we are not ready for changes. So yeah, actually globalization it affects organizations, and also accordingly each organization also needs to change the way they are doing, and they have to, you know, use different systems, automate, and change their organization system. Otherwise, you know, it will be very difficult to cope up with the current, you know, 21st century technologies and, you know, the situation. So there are so many challenges, and also we need also to change our organizations. I believe on that one, but what's important is the top management, you know, has to decide. So that's really very important. So if we focus on the individual researcher or our customers, it's very difficult, you know, to change them. So what we need is we need to have, you know, I mean, some policy and strategy, and then using that policy and strategy, we need to aware all the employees. And once the management, the top management especially, you know, agree on the importance of having change change can be, ICT is one of the tool for the change. So that way, it will be possible to implement a system, and all the employees can, act as according to the system, so that it will be possible to make change. But ICT is one part, but there are so many changes which we need. Our working cultures. There are so many things we need to change.
Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Can I intervene? Can I intervene
Yes.
also, Mercy? Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew.
This is a very fresh experience. I was in Benin during 2 weeks to learn how to fly drones and how to take advantage of all the drone technology. Well, in Madagascar, we never heard about how to use drones in agriculture or even in environment in general. And after that training, I saw that we are not in the globalization process. We are really too far from the world, from the 21st century, as Tadesse said. So, being involved in some global trends is really important when talking about extension and programming and so on.
Yes, yes. So I think it's real. We just have to, and it's a gradual process, but then it shouldn't be too late. Otherwise, we'll be left behind.
Yes.
So we are now on study unit 9, coordination and control in agricultural extension management. Next slide, please. Next slide.
It's already on organizational control.
Organizational control, what does it do? It allows managers to measure progress of programs, progress of projects, progress that the organization is making generally in all areas. It allows managers to give feedback, and it allows managers to direct the team to succeed. And then why organizational control? If as managers we have control, it will only alert us of problems. Where there is problem, we get to know immediately and we can act. And then it helps our decision making as managers. It is also necessary for us to know the performance standards that we set. So this is why in an organization or as managers, managing a project, managing a program, managing an organization, there must be so the control process, it's all about collecting information on programs, on projects, on organization. It's all about allocating resources, our time, our money, then the people that will do the work. And then it's all about evaluating these resources as we implement, and it is all about regulating these resources. They must be regulated. They must be corrected where there is problem. So what are some of the methods of control that we are used to? We've had policies. We have to set up policies. In organization, we had of human resource policy, management policy. We had of the financial policy of the organization, the administrative policy of the organization. So we have policies and procedures. And then we also have feedback on project progress. I think Tadesse left, or someone left. Yeah. Yeah, Tadesse left. Next slide.
The next slide is about, Obstacles to
there are
control.
some obstacles to control. Why, as managers, we cannot, control or effectively. We said lack of resources, ineffective measuring techniques, time lag, limited capacity to analyze information. And then there is also another option where we have all of these are obstacles to control. So Pauline, you want to look at them and tick the correct one.
I think I would say all.
Okay. I think I also want to agree with you. If we don't have resources, we may not have the measure of control that we need. So now, yeah, it's 100%. Yeah, we go to the next slide. Types of coordination. We have internal coordination. We have external coordination. We have vertical coordination, horizontal coordination, procedural coordination, substantive coordination. We can even think of others. But then, from my experience, when you look at the vertical coordination and the horizontal coordination, I think we always have issues, especially when we look at matrix management. There is always conflict, controlling vertically and controlling horizontally. But I just think it's a matter of, understanding and make sure that we take our employees along systematically. The next slide.
So next slide is next unit is about monitoring and evaluation.
Yes, we need to monitor and we need to evaluate. We need to track the progress of project, of program, of even our organization. We need to gather information about all the inputs, all the outputs, all the impacts, the effects, and all our complementary activities. And then in evaluation, we want to check the effectiveness of the various extension tools and methods that we have used. And then this will form the basis for adjusting our program, for adjusting our projects, for adjusting our organization, and even improving entirely. So why is monitoring and evaluation so important? To me, this is what will tell us whether our extension program is successful or not. And it helps us to gather relevant information and then to evaluate the whole organization. There are changes, long, sustainable changes. Without monitoring and evaluation, I don't think we can do this, and we cannot move forward. So it's enough to give us feedback, but at the same time, I think it's also very important that we can feed forward with the feedback that we get. So monitoring and evaluating, we want to say, does the extension program address community needs? The answer could be yes or no. Has it made changes to the plan? That is, if the answer is no, we want to make changes to our plan. And then we also want to say, if we have made changes, are the changes sustainable? If they are sustainable changes, that is when we can say we are successful. We've had a successful program, or we've had a successful project. I mean, these are some of the questions that we are asking ourselves and we want to react to so that we can feed forward as a project, as programs, and as an organization. Next slide. So what are steps in evaluation? Assuming we have a project or activity, we want to find out about the background of our target clients. We want to analyze our extension methods. We also want to draw up our action plan, determine the size of our clients, and then collect our and use our findings to feed forward or to improve our program. These are some of the steps in evaluation. There could be more, but I think most of the sub steps are inside, So I think we've gone through quite a number of aspects of program planning and management in agricultural extension. We started by asking ourselves what management is all about. And then we went into, discussing various other aspects of management, what, leadership is all about, what are principles of management, is a manager the same as a leader? These are some of the questions we've asked ourselves. How do we motivate our employees? Why is motivation important? And then we looked at diversity within the group. Why is diversity necessary, and how our advantage to achieve our goals? And then we went to coordination. How do we coordinate? Then program planning. How do we plan effective program? What are some of the principles? And then monitoring and evaluation. Even before monitoring and evaluation, we went into time management. How do we manage time? It's important. How do we monitor and how do we evaluate to ensure lasting solution to problems at the field level, at the level of farmers? So I believe we want to ask ourselves the last question. Have we really learned something that will improve our work as managers? Is it a yes or a no? That's since we started our discussion.
It's a yes. Sorry, I didn't have time to fill in the poll, but it's a yes.
It is a yes.
Yes, for me.
And do you want to share what you have learned exactly with us?
Okay, maybe.
New.
What I can say is that for me, mostly in terms of the management, it has been, I think, maybe concentrating more on the technical aspects of managing the extension staff in terms of technical ability, and the issues of maybe human resource. I have not taken too much keen importance, which I've seen that I think it's also very important as a manager. It's something maybe I would say I'd left it to our HR department. So that, for me, that is something new, that it's something that can help me improve on my management skills.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. For me, as a facilitator, one thing that I have learned from this module is the issue of time management. I think with the information age, digital age, with everybody various setups, I think it's very, very important because you are talking, you are in a meeting, somebody is taking phone calls. You are in a meeting, somebody is busy chatting. You are in a meeting, all these are distractions. I think we really need to look at time management. And then the issue of globalization is very important. We want to ensure that the clientele system is carried along and they get to know most of the things that are happening at the global level and how they can also make good use of them. So these are some of the key things that I have learned going through this module, though I'm one of the authors of the module. But I think delivering this, emphasizing all this during this discussion, I think I want to take them, work more on that in my organization.
Yes, for me, what I learned is I heard about that before, that the leader does the right thing while the manager does things right, correctly. But this is the first time I'm just thinking about it twice, and it was surprising to hear that again. And I think that's the shortest definition and comparison of a manager and the leader. The other thing I learned also is that program management, extension program management requires a lot of skills because you have to care about time management, about farmers organizations, about all other stakeholders, of course, about human resource management, and all the tools that are available. And you must have some monitoring and coordination and evaluation skills to make sure that things goes properly in the right direction with and reach your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. I think it's good that we are learning and we continue to learn. But Andrea, I just want to, just a quick one. How do we get more people into this discussion? Because
honestly, with you, I'm totally, I don't know what happened. I really didn't know what happened. I sent a reminder 2-3 times, and it seems still people are not joining. I want to see for this. There are like 70 people who register for these webinars, but I don't know why.
Is it a problem of time difference?
Not sure. I don't know. I will check with the French speaking also tonight. The French speaking webinar will be at 5 East African time.
Pauline, thank you.
Thank you too.
Yeah, and I think we just want to round up now, and
yes.
That is the end of the module on program planning and management in agricultural extension.